So I was fortunate enough to sail around there for a few years. It's also where I did my first offshore trip. The company I worked for bought a boat and it was in Spain. So we got to sail it all the way from Spain through Panama and across to Australia. So that was like my first taste of ocean sailing, you know, out in the big wide world. And by then I was fully hooked. Then I was like, this is for me. It was all a bit of an accident. When I finished high school, I went up to the Whitsundays, and my mother was kind enough to send me out on a big sailing boat for a day for a cruise, just so I could see the islands and see the reef. And I kind of just fell in love with it that day, and I didn't really know what I was going to do after high school. And I searched around, and a couple of weeks later, I got a job on a boat. So I started just working as a stewardess and on deck. Even got seasick my first week. After that, it just sort of evolved. I realised I wanted to be out on deck with the boys. That was where it was more interesting. And so I started working away through my sea time and enjoying the cruising. By 21, I managed to get my first captain's licence. So I was driving old America's Cup racing boats and maxi sailing boats. So I was fortunate enough to sail around there for a few years. It's also where I did my first offshore trip. The company I worked for bought a boat and it was in Spain. So we got to sail it all the way from Spain through Panama and across to Australia. So that was like my first taste of ocean sailing, you know, out in the big wide world. And by then I was fully hooked. Then I was like, this is for me. And some of my colleagues had sort of left the sailing fraternity by then, and they'd moved overseas to super yachts. And for sure this was a way for me to learn to travel and to get around the world and do what I love. So that's when I crossed to the dark side, we call it. It's when I went from sailboats to motorboats. And I came to Europe. I got a job on a 36-metre motor yacht, which was absolutely amazing. I got to travel the world for 3.5 years to some very, very cool places. But that allowed me to save my money, go to school. Every holidays I would go to a maritime college in England and keep studying for my next licenses. You know, you have to keep going to sea, going to college, going to sea, going to college. So I spent my years then going through and doing my international licenses and coming up. And by 30, I managed to get my Master 3000 license. So that was my step to being able to move as a captain on the big white boats, and that was sort of the transition, really. And then 4 years ago, I met the golf craft team. And that's when I really sort of transitioned into more full-time land base. It's where I got to experience going home every night. Felt like semi-retirement doing a 5-day week. It was a new thing for me. But then I was able to still do yachts, you know. I still sea trial, do deliveries. We do trips like I just did to Qatar and so on. Now 29 years I've been at sea, and it's just part of your soul, you know. It's just in there. But I love the lifestyle of it. I love when people get their first yacht. It's actually, or even a new yacht. It's one of the coolest days. It's where you get to see even the most scrupulous person melt and just become the happiest person in the world because they've just got their new yacht, their new lifestyle and their home on the water. It's one of the coolest parts about it, actually. Back in the day, there certainly wasn't many women docking the boats in the different ports when we would pull in. But there has been a really nice change. So it was a little bit tough in the beginning, and you got a lot of side looks. It was a bit tough in the beginning for owners to be accepting to have female captains on their yachts. But now it's a lot more generalised. There's certainly a lot more women in the industry. We work hard through the different forums and the different groups in the industry to support all of the junior generations coming up, whether it be on deck, whether it be engineering, just all across the industry. We're working very hard to keep pushing it. The numbers are there now, and it's starting starting just to become normal. It's no longer a difference. Some of the challenges, like in the very beginning, it was a bit of, you're not strong enough to be able to do the physical labor out on deck, to carry the ropes and to do all that sort of thing, especially sailing, Luckily I was a bit of a tomboy. But a lot of it is about technique. It's about how you do it. If we're sailing, it's actually about how you pull the sails up, the technique of lifting things, using pulleys and different systems. It's not that I just need to have these big, huge muscles to lug things around. There's always a way, right? So teaching that and learning that and working with that as you go, you realize that it's just not about brute strength.